When a woman truly realizes she has lost you, something shifts inside her that she cannot fake, cannot control, and cannot reverse. Not because you became colder, but because you became emotionally unreachable. That moment is powerful, it's silent, and it rewrites how she sees you. Listen carefully. Most men assume attraction is about looks, money, status, or how much attention you give. But psychology shows something deeper. Attraction is regulated by perception of value and emotional certainty. The second she feels she has full access to you, you become predictable, and predictability kills desire. Let me ask you something straight. Have you ever noticed how she treated you differently when you stopped chasing, when you stopped explaining yourself, when you stopped reacting to every small distance she created? That change in her behavior was not coincidence, it was awareness. The truth is, many women do not consciously calculate loss until the loss feels real. When she feels safe that you will always stay, always forgive, always return, she may test boundaries. She may pull back emotionally. She may compare. She may even explore attention from other men, not always because she wants someone else, but because she is unconsciously checking her power in the connection. But the moment she senses your detachment is not punishment, it is decision, everything changes. Real loss creates emotional shock. That shock activates what psychologists call attachment reevaluation. She begins asking herself questions she avoided before. Why is he not reacting like he used to? Did I push him too far? Is he moving on? Am I replaceable? Those questions hit deeper than jealousy. Men often make the mistake of responding to disrespect with anger or pleading. Both destroy attraction. Anger shows emotional dependence. Pleading shows fear of abandonment. Neither communicates strength. When she realizes she lost you, it's not because you argued louder. It's because you became calm, stable, and unavailable for drama. Unavailability is powerful. It does not mean ignoring her to manipulate her. It means prioritizing your life, your growth, your standards. It means you stop chasing validation from someone who is unsure about you. Here's something many men misunderstand. Women test emotional security through withdrawal. They create space to observe how you respond. If you panic, they feel control. If you chase, they feel power. If you remain grounded, they feel respect. Respect is the foundation of attraction. When respect disappears, love starts collapsing quietly. When she realizes she lost you, you might see subtle signs first: increased communication after silence, sudden curiosity about your life, random messages that seem casual but carry emotional weight, social media activity around your content, watching your stories without commenting, asking mutual friends about you. These behaviors signal one thing: awareness of absence. Absence creates clarity, and clarity forces her to compare the version of you she had with the fear of never having access to you again. That comparison often hurts her ego. Ego plays a massive role in female psychology, not in a negative way, but in identity protection. If she believed she had control over the relationship and suddenly feels that control slipping, she experiences discomfort. That discomfort can turn into effort or resistance. If she cares about you, loss pushes her to act. If she never valued you deeply, loss exposes that truth. Either way, you win clarity. But understand this carefully. The goal is not to manipulate someone into fearing abandonment. The goal is to become a man who is so focused on his direction that losing him feels like losing opportunity, stability, and emotional depth. Women respond strongly to men who move forward without waiting for permission. Let me challenge you with something important. If she walked away today, would your life collapse? Or would it continue growing? Your answer to that question determines your power in the dynamic. When she realizes she lost you, it's not about drama or revenge. It's about recognition. She recognizes your value when access is restricted. She recognizes your importance when your presence is no longer guaranteed. And sometimes that realization comes too late. Now reflect on this. If she suddenly reached out after distance asking to reconnect, would you accept immediately? Or would you evaluate whether she changed or simply missed what she lost? When a woman realizes she lost you, the shift is rarely loud, it's emotional, internal, and often uncomfortable for her. But what most men miss is this: That realization doesn't happen instantly, it happens after patterns break. Women feel security through emotional consistency. When you were always available, always responding, always trying to fix misunderstandings, she might have taken that stability for granted, not because she is evil, but because familiarity reduces perceived value. The moment consistency disappears, perception changes. Let's talk about what actually triggers that awakening. It's not when you post a picture looking good. It's not when she sees you laughing with other people. It's not even when she hears you moved on. It's when she tries to access the emotional support you used to give, and it's no longer freely available. That moment feels real to her. She might text something like, "Hey, how have you been?" But underneath that simple question is deeper energy. It translates to, "Are you still emotionally connected to me? Do I still matter the way I used to?" If your response is calm, slightly distant, and confident, she feels the gap, and gaps create awareness. Psychologically, humans value what becomes uncertain. Certainty reduces motivation, uncertainty increases attention. When she cannot predict your reactions anymore, she starts observing you more carefully. She remembers how predictable you used to be. She compares, and comparison is powerful. She may compare how you treated her before to how you treat her now. She may compare how other men treat her versus how you treated her. And in that comparison, if she sees that your behavior was genuine, supportive, and stable, she begins questioning her decisions. Regret doesn't show up immediately as apology, it shows up as reflection. Reflection shows up as silence followed by curiosity. You might notice indirect signs. She watches your social media more frequently. She reacts to small updates. She asks mutual connections about your life. She tries to appear confident but still finds ways to stay connected to your energy. Why? Because losing access to someone who made her feel emotionally understood creates a void, and voids demand attention. But here's something important. Not every woman who returns after loss does so because of deep love. Sometimes she returns because the emotional backup plan disappeared. This is where discernment matters. When she realizes she lost you, ask yourself, is she coming back with accountability, or is she coming back to regain comfort? Accountability sounds like, "I see where I messed up. I understand your boundaries now. I want to rebuild differently." Comfort sounds like, "Let's act like nothing happened. Why are you so distant?" The difference is respect. Real change requires emotional maturity. Temporary fear of losing you can trigger effort, but only personal growth sustains connection. Men often make a mistake here. The moment she shows interest again, they jump back instantly. They forgive instantly. They forget instantly. And in doing so, they reinforce that loss has no consequence. If loss has no consequence, behavior rarely changes. Instead, when she returns, observe. Does her communication feel different? Is she more considerate? Does she respect your time? Does she avoid repeating the same patterns that cause distance? Her actions will show whether the realization transformed her or only scared her temporarily. Understand this deeply. When a woman truly understands she lost a high-value connection, it impacts her identity. She may question her choices. She may question her pride. She may even question why she risked losing someone stable for something momentary. That internal conflict is powerful, and sometimes that conflict becomes the turning point. But remember, your goal is not to create pain to generate realization. Your goal is to build a life so aligned with purpose and growth that anyone who leaves feels the weight of stepping away from something meaningful. When you prioritize self-improvement, discipline, physical health, financial stability, and emotional control, loss becomes a mirror. It reflects who invested and who didn't. When she realizes she lost you, the strongest reaction you will see is not panic, it's emotional recalibration. Recalibration means she adjusts how she sees you in her mental hierarchy of options. Before loss, you may have been placed in a comfortable category. He's always there. He forgives quickly. I can focus on other things and he will wait. After loss, that category disappears. You are no longer predictable. You are no longer automatically available, and that forces her brain to reassess your value. Here's what many men don't understand. Attraction for women is deeply connected to emotional investment. The more she invests time, feelings, memories, and vulnerability into you, the harder it becomes to detach completely. But investment alone doesn't keep attraction alive, respect does. When you withdraw after repeated disrespect or inconsistency, it interrupts the emotional script she was comfortable with. That interruption creates awareness. She starts replaying conversations in her head. She remembers moments where you tolerated behavior you shouldn't have tolerated. She remembers moments where you stayed calm while she tested your boundaries. And suddenly those moments look different. They no longer look like weakness from you. They look like patience. And patience combined with boundaries is powerful. Let's talk about a common scenario. She distances herself. You feel the shift. Instead of reacting emotionally, you focus on yourself. You reduce communication. You invest in work, fitness, friends, purpose. Weeks pass. Then she reaches out unexpectedly. The tone is softer. The messages feel warmer. Why? Because your absence removed emotional certainty. She felt what life looks like without your presence, without your support, without your consistency. And that comparison creates clarity. However, clarity doesn't automatically mean commitment. Sometimes she comes back simply to test whether access is still possible. This is where men must become emotionally intelligent. Do not reward temporary attention with immediate emotional access. Observe behavior over words. If she truly realized she lost you, her actions will show effort without manipulation. She will respect your boundaries instead of challenging them. She will show patience instead of pressure. Real realization brings humility. Fake realization brings urgency. Urgency sounds like, "Why are you acting like this? Are you seeing someone? Don't be so cold." Humility sounds like, "I understand why space was needed. I should have handled things differently." Pay attention to that difference. Another important truth: when she realizes she lost you, she may also try to regain control through jealousy triggers, posting attention-seeking content, talking about other men casually, mentioning someone who showed interest in her. These behaviors are often not about replacement, they are about testing reaction. If you react emotionally, she feels power again. If you stay neutral and confident, she realizes her tactics no longer influence you. That realization shifts power back to balance. Remember, balance creates healthy attraction. One-sided emotional chasing creates dependency. Let me be direct with you. If she lost you and never made any attempt to reconnect, apologize, or reflect, that information is equally powerful. Silence after loss is clarity. It tells you where you stood in her priorities. And sometimes acceptance is stronger than chasing someone who chose distance. You deserve effort from someone who understands your value, not someone who only recognizes it after it disappears. When she fully realizes she lost you, not temporarily, not emotionally triggered, but deeply and consciously, the dynamic between you changes forever. And here is the truth most men never hear. Real loss doesn't just create regret, it creates transformation, if she is emotionally mature enough to grow from it. Some women only react to loss with pride. They convince themselves, "I didn't need him anyway." They distract themselves. They seek validation from attention. They try to replace the emotional gap quickly. But deep down, the silence you left behind stays with her, because genuine connection cannot be erased through ego. Over time, memories resurface. She remembers how you showed up consistently. She remembers how safe she felt during certain conversations. She remembers the stability you provided when chaos surrounded her life. And now that it's gone, she compares every new interaction to the standard you set. That comparison becomes powerful. If she dates someone new after losing you, she will unconsciously measure him against your behavior, his communication style, his emotional intelligence, his reliability, his patience. Very often, new men fail that comparison, not because they are bad, but because they are different. And difference highlights loss. That realization can create emotional conflict inside her. She may appear happy externally while internally thinking, "He never reacted like this. He never treated me that way. I took that for granted." Regret usually grows quietly, but here is something critical for you to understand. The goal is not to make her regret losing you so she suffers. The goal is to build a life so strong that if she returns, it is because she genuinely respects the man you became, not because she is escaping loneliness. When a woman sees that you improved after separation, physically stronger, mentally sharper, emotionally controlled, financially focused, her perception shifts. She no longer sees the version she left. She sees growth, and growth commands respect. Respect rebuilds attraction. However, even if she realizes she lost you, that doesn't automatically mean reconciliation is healthy. Sometimes realization comes too late. Sometimes timing is gone. Sometimes trust was broken too deeply. And in those moments, the strongest move you make is gratitude for the lesson and movement toward someone who matches your current level. Understand this clearly. A woman who loses you and genuinely values you will show effort without excuses. She will communicate directly. She will acknowledge mistakes. She will respect your healing process. A woman who only misses access will pressure you to return to the old dynamic. You must learn to distinguish between emotional longing and true accountability. Let me challenge you before we close. If she saw your life right now, your progress, your discipline, your growth, would she feel inspired or would she feel replaced? Your answer reveals how powerful your transformation has been. Remember this powerful truth. When she realizes she lost you, the control shifts, not because you demanded it, but because you built value that no longer waits for permission. Value speaks quietly, confidence moves calmly, and men who understand this never beg for attention again. Now I want you to answer something personal in the comments. If she realized today that she truly lost you forever, would she fight to get you back, or would she let pride win? Like this video if it helped you see the psychology behind loss and attraction. Subscribe for deeper insights into female behavior and relationship dynamics, and share it with someone who needs to understand why absence sometimes creates the strongest realization.